What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I have my esteemed guest with me again here today. We are actually going to be starting a new review series leading up to Jurassic World Dominion this summer. We're going to be talking about the Jurassic Park movies. I'm not calling them the Jurassic World movies. The series is Jurassic Park.
It's the Jurassic Universe franchise now.
I wouldn't be surprised if they do another trilogy and they're like Jurassic Universe.
Yeah, dude, outer space theme parks in the far future.
Yeah, Jurassic Galaxy.
Jurassic Galaxy.
But we're going to be talking about the original classic from 1993 by what I would assume is your favorite director. He's definitely my favorite director. That is
Spielberg?
Spielberg. Yeah, that is
He's
Steven.
definitely he's definitely up there for sure.
Yeah, he's my favorite director. So we're going to talk about 1993's Jurassic Park in all of its cinematic and classic glory because, god damn it, Jurassic Park is a classic.
It's a great movie. Like, all around, it's a great movie.
You could argue Jurassic Park doesn't need a sequel.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes down to it, this movie would have been, perfectly fine on its own. The sequels have never brought an insane amount to it. They haven't really added enough onto what this movie set up overall, but they're still fun, is the thing. I
Yeah,
still enjoy watching the sequels, but the
even
first one is
two,
like
even
such a
two, because I know you hate two.
we'll talk about two when we get there, but the
Yeah,
first one's such a high bar, and the sequels just never hit that because you can't. Like the way this is set up, it's like
right.
the magic and wonder of discovering these dinosaurs is like a one-time thing, and then the next time you have to go back to the island. You have to go back to the island, and like you
Right.
don't get the same feeling of like magic and like oh my god, dinosaurs are back.
Oh, right. Yeah, exactly. I guess what I was gonna say too, because I agree with all of that. But I guess what I was gonna say too before I went and said that, oh, I don't think Jurassic Park needs a sequel. What I was gonna say is that it really set the blueprint for sequels for this movie because this, for me, I think my problem with the Jurassic Park sequels, as much as I think there are many good parts to those movies, and then there's a couple movies where it's like, no, like Jurassic Park 3. um, I think they kind of misunderstand what Jurassic Park was. And I think if you've never seen Jurassic Park before, you're going to go into that mindset where it's just going to be all, oh, dinosaurs and chaos when it's not really that. It's more of a science fiction thriller, and I guess you could classify it as a science fiction drama too. It's more about like how like man is greedy with nature.
Right,
And
and playing God and all that.
yeah, and how this comes and how this is structured, this movie at least, it's not a very action-packed movie because it's dealing with all of those themes. Like you have the cool action-packed stuff, like when the T-Rex first shows up, that's an amazing scene.
Yeah,
And then
absolutely.
yeah, and then you have the velociraptors chasing the kids in the kitchen. Great scene there, but it's like that's not all Jurassic Park is, and I think that that's what the sequels misunderstand it to be. Like I think the sequels really take Jurassic Park and put it in a more action heavy territory.
Yeah, I think the sequels a lot of times go into like monster movie territory,
Yeah, I
which
get
is
that.
it's not the first one. It has its scary moments and stuff, but it's
Right.
not like it's not the same vibe as a lot of the
Dude,
sequels.
like Samuel L. Jackson's arm on Ellie Sattler's shoulder. Ooh,
Yeah.
Mr. Hammond, I think we're back in business. Oh, Mr. Arnold.
like there's moments like that where I'm just like Spielberg knew how to stage tension and suspense and make it legitimately scary.
Oh yeah.
That's absent from the sequels, where I think the sequels just kind of take a more absent-minded, like, oh, we're just gonna make this a monster movie, an action movie type of approach. Which I guess if you're a sequel, like, that's not necessarily a bad thing, because they're, as we said, they're still fun to be had with some of these movies. It's just
Yeah.
it's just I I don't know. The first one, I think it should. I think it should have. They should have tried to stay in vein with the first one, where it was more tackling those themes about man versus nature.
It's tough. It's really tough because this movie doesn't like lend itself to sequels. It
Right.
like sets up. It's like a very self-contained story where by the end it's like, oh, this is why you shouldn't do this. And now,
Yeah.
oh god, Hammond has learned his lesson.
Yeah.
Where it seems where it's like,
I
oh,
will
like
not endorse your theme park.
yeah, where it's like, oh yeah, so I shouldn't have done this. Like, and it's oh, it's fascinating, it's magical, but like we shouldn't have done that. So then it doesn't lean itself to sequels, where then in the sequels you either have to go back to the island,
Yeah.
and which they do over and over for other reasons, like this. We'll get more into it with the sequels, but the Lost World, I appreciate that they're at least like, oh, this isn't like we're going to a theme park, like we're trying to save these
Yeah, it's like an
dinosaurs. Almost,
alternate island that was an alternate site.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, like
that
but
Jurassic World and Fallen Kingdom seem to ignore for some reason.
right, but the thing I respect about the Jurassic World sequels, at least, is that they don't just go, "Oh, we're gonna go back to the island and do the same thing." Like, at least Jurassic World, the
Yeah,
first one is like, "Oh, you know how you always kind of wanted to picture what an actual functioning Jurassic Park would look like? Here it is. Like, here's kids riding Triceratops and all that
yeah,
stuff."
and I guess in Fallen Kingdom, it's like, well, we have to get the dinosaurs off the island because the volcano's exploding.
Right. Which I'm not a big fan of that movie, which we'll get into later. But I do think that the direction it went in, which is as stupid of a way as they get there, and we'll get more into that. But the idea of the dinosaurs leave the island and come into the like our world is the natural place where I think a sequel would go. Like,
Yeah,
if you're not going to back to the island, like the natural thing to do next is these dinosaurs end up in the real world.
essentially that's what they did with the Lost World. I just kind of think they do it in a stupid way,
Right.
but
Yes. Yeah. They
yeah,
try to kind of tease it, but like the end of the Fallen Kingdom sets up Dominion, which is why I'm actually really excited for Dominion because it's going to be doing something really different, which is like dinosaurs roaming all over the place.
was not a fan of that prologue that they released.
Oh yeah, yeah, I didn't mind it.
Yeah. I was just like, I don't like the vibe of this, but we'll see. I mean, we gotta see what the actual movie's like. I'm not gonna judge the whole thing, just like how I'm not gonna judge Boba Fett until I see the whole thing.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but no, Jurassic Park for me, it was always one of those movies when I was a kid where, because I mean, I was like, I've said this before in videos. I was naive, so I was always when I was little, so I was always like, I want the cool action, I want the effects, like I want
Right.
the cars flipping over. And I remember watching this at a young age and be like, this is not what I expected Jurassic Park to be. But like,
Right.
so it was like so I was like, I liked it, but I didn't appreciate it as much as I do now and see it as the classic as I do now. And I think that's because like I couldn't dig deep into like the actual themes and like understand that it's like, well, this is what humankind would want if they because we're so fascinated with dinosaurs. Like just think about how much this movie like sparked a newfound interest in dinosaurs. And I mean, obviously, we keep saying we're gonna get there when we get there, but like even like Jurassic World and Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, like billion-dollar movies, like who would have thought a movie about dinosaurs would make as much money as it did?
I mean, that's the thing though. We've always had a fascination with dinosaurs because does seem like this otherworldly, like crazy thing. But it's like
I think you
they
know,
did exist. They
yeah,
were
and
where we're talking. There might have been Triceratops murdering each other, like
yeah,
right here.
yeah, I think it's because it's like, well, you hear about like when you hear about dinosaurs, it's like, well, they lived 65 million years ago. So the movie is essentially telling you, well, what would happen if humans lived with dinosaurs 65 million years ago?
Are you about to get into the beginning of the Super Mario Bros. Movie? What if the dinosaurs were never destroyed? What if we built a
What if there
utopia
was
of
some sort of
dinosaurs?
secret, like passage in the sewers or something? I'm Mario. He's Luigi Mario. No
One of my
wonder
first
Yoshi looks like a dinosaur in that movie.
one of my first appearances on your channel.
Yes, I think it was your
Uh,
first, actually.
yeah, but I mean, we can't talk about the first Jurassic Park without talking about just how revolutionary the effects were at the time. Like,
Dude,
this is when
the
CGI was still early,
it
like
wasn't even just
early.
CGI, dude. It was like if you watched the special features on like the
Yeah,
DVD or Blu-ray, if you have those anymore, because apparently nobody does.
right. Except
But
for you.
yeah, but you should have them because they're awesome. Like just the amount of like hard work, like you would think the dinosaurs are CGI, but they're not.
Yeah, I mean, it's a one amazing mix that they
Yeah,
do where there are moments of CGI, obviously, but they blend it in a way where even now, however, 30 years later,
dude,
it's
it
still
looks seamless.
it looks amazing, like
Yeah,
so good.
and there's so many
And
movies that were made around that time where you can look at them today with like CGI where it's like, oh,
yeah,
that sticks out like a sore thumb, but it's like
yeah,
Jurassic Park is just so seamless. And I've always, I think it was the scene. I don't know what I see. I always get my dinosaur types mixed up, but it's that scene where they have to cure like the sick dinosaur. So,
yeah.
do you know how that was made?
I imagine it was a practical dinosaur laying there.
Just the head. So they
Yeah,
had like the actual like practical like animatronic head like moving back
yeah,
and forth. But like watching that scene, you would never believe that. Like you would think it
yeah.
was the actual like an actual whole like animatronic dinosaur.
Oh, yeah, yeah, it's crazy. Like,
Yeah.
it's and it really shows how good of a filmmaker Steven Spielberg
Oh yeah.
was. He was able to completely make you believe that because this movie hinges on, do you believe what you're watching, that these dinosaurs are real?
Dude,
Like, are these actually dinosaurs?
I miss old school Spielberg like this, man. Like this was a time when like Indiana Jones, Jurassic Park. It was like after Jurassic Park where he was just like, I think I'm getting a little too hardcore with my movies. I'm gonna tone it back a little bit. So like this was like at a time in his career where he was not afraid to get down and dirty. You know,
I
like
mean, I think he's the perfect person to make this movie because with another director, this could very much just be like a monster movie or like a tense, like,
and
oh
I think
God, we'll get
you know
science. But
you know
he makes it so it goes,
yeah
oh, like, watch out for the science, but also let's take a moment and
yeah
see how like amazing this would be to like see
pay
them.
attention to these fossilized insects, you
Yeah,
know, because
yeah,
that's important. Mr. DNA is gonna spew some important exposition, you know.
yeah. But yeah, Spielberg is always one of his strengths as a movie maker is just capturing the wonder and the feeling of
Yeah,
magic and things. And
yeah.
in that moment, when you first see the dinosaurs, when the characters first see the dinosaurs, it's like, whoa, yeah, oh,
Oh, dude, it's the
chill,
music too, man.
chill.
It's it's a dinosaur.
You did. You crazy son of a bitch, you did.
You just tear up the rule book on it. Cold-bloodedness, it doesn't apply. They're totally wrong. This is a warm-bodied creature.
This thing doesn't live in a swamp.
This thing's got, what, a 25, 27-foot neck?
Brachiosaurus 30.
We're gonna make a fortune with this place. How fast are they?
Well, we clocked the T-Rex to 32 miles an hour.
T-Rex?
Mm-hmm.
You said you've got a T-Rex?
Uh-huh.
Say again.
We have a T-Rex.
Wow.
Put your head between your knees.
Dr. Grant. My dear Dr. Sattler. Welcome to Jurassic Park.
They're moving in herds. They do move in herds. How'd you do this? I'll show you.
Well, I mean, my wife had the Jurassic Park theme when she came down the
Yeah.
aisle.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
I was standing there like,
Yeah, exactly, dude. Dude, like that scene where Hammond's like, "Welcome to Jurassic Park," and then you see the
he's
dinosaurs.
so
Like,
good.
yeah, the
Richard
dinosaurs. Like,
Attenborough.
oh, I know. But then, like, you see the dinosaurs like walking, and then all of a sudden you hear the John Williams like Jurassic Park theme kick in. It's like "Da-na-na-na." That scene would not work without that music.
Well, the score of this movie, I mean, it goes without saying,
Dun,
John
dun,
Williams is
dun,
amazing.
dun, dun,
But
dun,
like
dun.
all of it's so good. Like when they
Yeah,
first like the helicopter, when they're helicoptering in, it's like, oh yeah,
yeah,
an adventure. And then it's
yeah,
like that moment when they see the dinosaurs, it's amazing.
yeah.
It's just the music the whole time.
It's the score has so many different film genres wrapped into one score.
Yes. And it's like it has that main theme has like a feeling of like, oh my god, amazement. But at the same time, there's like a slight like hint of like tragicness, behind it,
Yeah, it's
where
like a
it's like,
slight hint of like, I guess you could say greed.
yeah, of like or like these things are from another time and we should
Yeah,
respect them.
yeah,
Like that's an all like extinct creatures.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean it's an amazing movie. And just the cast they have, the characters are all super
I love
memorable.
all the
Like
characters. This has one of my
mm,
favorite female characters in a sci-fi film, and that is
yeah,
Ellie
Allie.
Ellie Sattler. Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
I think Laura Dern plays her really well. Sam Neill, like you think, like he's like this like stern. What is he? A paleontologist?
yeah, Alan.
Yeah, Alan.
Alan.
Yeah, you like you when he's first introduced, like you feel like it's like I don't know about this guy. He kind of seems like a dick.
Yeah, he's scaring kids with like raptor claws.
Yeah, but like I think that makes that scene where he's, I think it's the Brachiosaurus where they look up and they see the Brachiosaurus and he's with the two kids.
In the
I think that,
trees.
yeah, I think him scaring the kids and then him warming up to the kids in that scene makes his character
Absolutely.
full circle.
Absolutely. Yeah, his whole character's journey of like starting to realize that he like could potentially be a father in the future.
Yeah,
Like he seems so wrapped up in his work and you're not really
which
sure
happens in the third
exactly
one.
right. But
Yeah,
I mean the third one has it where, Ellie is with another man.
yeah,
And
for some weird reason.
yeah, and it's sad. Like it's like I want to see them together. But like I mean,
Maybe they'll
I
do it
don't
in
know if I would.
Dominion. They're all coming back for Dominion.
Right. Maybe something changed since then, but
Yeah,
because Jurassic Park 3 now is like 20 years old. So like
yeah, no. Jurassic Park 3.
but I mean when we get to Jurassic Park 3, Alex, I might surprise you with some of my opinions.
Uh-oh.
I
You think it's the
rewatched
worst
this movie.
Jurassic Park movie?
I don't know if it is.
I'm saying 2 is your least favorite. That's what I'm gonna say now. That's
We'll
gonna be
see.
my bold prediction moving forward.
We'll see.
All right. Um,
Um, no, but I mean the cast is amazing, and obviously the big star stealing performance of this movie
Jeff Goldblum.
is Jeff Goldblum as Ian
Yeah.
Malcolm. I mean, he's
Yeah.
like the coolest character.
Yeah, that goes a little bit overboard in the sequel. There's 2
Well,
more.
yeah, he's good in small doses. Is the problem?
Yeah.
He's great as a supporting character in this movie, and then they give him everything in the
It's
second one.
like
It's like
yeah, it's like if Thor: Love and Thunder gives him everything.
right, but it's just
You know.
it's yeah in small doses. Like in this movie, he's used the perfect amount.
Yeah.
And he's just funny. He's got so many memorable
That's a
lines.
big pile
He's
of
the
shit.
voice. He's the voice of reason for the audience. Going, we shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah.
Let's not
He's
do
like
this.
yeah, well that's the thing, like this is the only Jurassic Park movie where the characters seem like they're actually smart.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, Hammond, you understand where Hammond's coming from. And like
Right.
even though he makes bad decisions, like you can have a character make bad decisions as long as you understand where they're coming from. And I think that that's what this movie did extremely well with Hammond. Because even by the
Absolutely.
end, he's like, "Yeah, I made a regret." Because there's that line that I referenced earlier, where Alan Grant just walks out of, I think it's the entrance center to Jurassic Park. He's like, Mr. Hammond, I will not support your island. And then you just see Hammond being like, "Nor would I," or something. So it's like, oh yeah, he realized he fucked up.
Yeah, that's the thing. The brilliance of casting Richard Attenborough is that he really captures the feeling that this old rich man had a dream and he did everything to make that dream happen. He's doing this out of a love of imagination and out of wanting to like make people happy.
Which is
and he just
cool.
seems Yeah, he
Yeah,
seems very like he's not coming from a bad place.
right.
He's coming from just a
Like
place of
like you
I want to give people this.
exactly. Like you understand you understand the greedy side of him, but he never comes across like that, you know?
No, like that it's just inherently I don't think he realizes it till later of just how much
Exactly.
of a mistake he made.
Exactly. Yeah.
But at first, like even as viewers, when you're the first little bit of the movie, you're kind of wrapped up with his presentation, being like, "Look how amazing this is! Look at these dinosaurs!" And it's like, "Yeah, look at these dinosaurs!" Then it's
Yeah.
like you start asking questions in that scene where they're in the conference room, and you start to realize, like, no,
Maybe not. Yeah.
yeah,
But
and then
then but
things
then
start going
but
really wrong.
but then it's like it jumps around like that a lot, but I think there's a good structure to it because it'll be like that scene, and then it's like, well, maybe not, and then it's be like, all right, well, let's go check out the rest of the park, and then they go through the park in the jeeps, which I actually really love that scene because there's no musical score in that
Yeah,
scene. It's just it's more just like as you're there in like Universal Studios Florida, where you're like going through the Jurassic Park ride, like
dude, I love that ride,
me and
man.
you, we went on it,
I
so
love that ride. But
yeah.
now it's a Jurassic World ride.
Yeah. Wait, did they get rid of those dinosaurs that like pop up and they have the things that?
I don't know if they changed that. I just know that it's the Indominus Rex now, I guess, instead of the T
Uh,
Rex. I'm
uh,
like, come on, can't we have both? Can't you do like a Jurassic World ride over there?
Put it where Back to the Future was.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, you get wrapped up into all that, but they do such a good job with the dinosaurs
Right.
that it's like you, as a kid, it's like I love the T Rex scene because the T Rex in the rain, they were so smart
At
to use
night,
the rain
with the
and the
electrical
darkness.
fence.
Yeah, you hide some of the CGI shots better that way.
Yeah.
You have a lot of it is like a practical animatronic T-Rex,
Yeah.
which they used to have one in the Toys R Us in Times Square. That would be a T-Rex just
That
standing there
must have been
roaring.
freaky for you as a kid.
It was amazing. I went well, they got rid of that Toys R Us, but when I went with Casey and her little brother back in the day, he was terrified when he heard
Oh,
that
I
thing
would be
roar.
too.
Yeah, it was like moving and it was like it was cool, but it was
Yeah.
huge. But yeah, the T-Rex scene is like a classic scene. The puddle,
Yep.
moving, like
Our-
the flares,
Yeah.
everything.
Dude, it's just the way that that's filmed too, like the shadows for the T-Rex.
Terrifying,
Yeah.
terrifying.
Just
Like
knocking over the Jeep and all that.
like kids in movies sometimes can be so annoying, but the kids in this one, like
I feel like they're
you,
set up to be annoying.
right, like
They're
because
not.
Alan Grant is annoyed by
Yeah.
them initially.
Yeah.
But like they're so good and they do such a good job of making you understand that these kids would be terrified and they
Right.
would be reacting this way.
Right.
So I mean the dinosaurs, the T-Rex was amazing. The raptors are
Oh,
utterly
dude, the
terrifying.
Raptors freaked the shit out of me when I was
Just
little. Yeah.
which they're so scary, and then you see so much of them in the sequels that they're not as scary then.
Right.
But
Right.
like in the first one, because they set up the Raptors so well, where it's like they're smart, clever girl, like
Yeah.
that whole thing. It's
Shoot
terrible. He's awesome, by the way,
I know.
Dude or whatever. He's
Yeah.
awesome. Why'd he
Moldy.
have to
Yeah.
but they're really terrifying. The ones that always scared me as a kid,
Little
just
green
terrifying.
ones?
The ones that kill Wayne Knight with the
Yeah.
fucking and they
Yeah,
spit the
those are the
poison.
ones I was just talking about that were on the
Oh,
ride. Because remember when you get towards the end of the ride, we were like, "Oh, we haven't seen them," and then all of a sudden they pop up, and I'm like, "No, no, get away, get away!"
I used to have nightmares of them as a
Oh
kid.
yeah,
Like something about the flap thing is so scary.
yeah. Oh yeah. Didn't
Yeah,
they have like purple dots on them too?
yeah, they're
Those
like
ones?
freaky
Yeah,
looking.
yeah, yeah,
Freaky
yeah.
looking.
Well, because it's the way that they pop up. Because they pop up, they're just kind of looking at you like they're angry. It's like, what's going on with this thing? And then all of a sudden, it's just.
Yeah, when that one is in Wayne Knight's car with him,
Yeah.
so scary.
Oh man.
Like holy shit. I would
Dude,
have
it's crazy how he's the one who literally sets this whole thing off.
Yeah, like he causes all these problems because he's working for whatever other rival company, which is a thread that they never really followed up on ever.
No.
Like that's that shaving cream bottle with DNA in it. Like, how has that never been like the crux of a sequel?
Exactly.
Like that needs to come
Exactly.
back.
Every time I watch Jurassic Park, I see that, and then I watch the sequels, and I'm always like, like scanning the sequels like intently. I'm like, where is that
I'm like
bottle of
so
shaving cream?
surprised that like in Jurassic World or something they never had a Doctor Wu have that in like the
Yeah,
background even
yeah.
like you know
It would make sense because it's like, well, what if like you can get like the DNA from instead of from like getting it from like insects that are like essentially crystallized? Like what could you do with that DNA in a shaving cream? You know?
yeah like I just thought like that was so because the whole point of that whole thing was just that those people wanted him to steal some of the DNA and then like he's all he does but then he doesn't make it off the island
Yeah,
so
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, I always thought that would have been perfect setup for some sort of sequel. But instead, in the next one, they're like, "Oh, we have a second island," and then in the next one, they're like, "Oh, this rich kid went missing." Oh,
Oh, Ian Malcolm has a daughter.
yeah, she knows gymnastics. She kicks raptors.
With
Oh,
Julianne Moore.
oh my God! Don't get me started. um, yeah, the this one though is just such a like near perfect film.
Dude, it is a
Like I have
perfect
like
film in
no
my eyes.
criticisms.
I don't either. It's a beautifully made movie that has poignant themes. I think like the more you think about Jurassic Park, the better it gets.
Right, exactly. It's just such a well-rounded movie, and
Yeah,
it's like a prime example of like a real blockbuster movie where it's thoughtful. It's not dumb
exactly.
popcorn
Yeah,
movie. It's
yes.
thoughtful, but there's like enough spectacle and like action to like keep you interested.
Which is what I wish more blockbusters would do nowadays.
Yes, yeah. A lot of times you get the fast movies, the
It's
Transformers,
more
Michael
just
Bay
like
movies.
pew bang boo,
Yeah,
stuff like that. But
yeah. But no, Jurassic Park's a classic. The first one's so good.
yeah,
Can't really be touched. It's one of my favorite Spielberg movies. I think a lot of people write it off as just like more of a popcorn blockbuster, but I
that's
think
the
there's
thing.
just
I think that's and like I was alluding to before. I think that's because of the movies that followed it.
yeah, I think the first one has a lot of deep thoughts and philosophies and
Yeah,
interesting debates you could have.
right. Exactly. Dude, I love talking about Jurassic Park any chance I can get.
Hmm.
It's one of
Yeah.
my favorite movies of all time. You going A+ on this?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Easily.
going A+ on this too. Yeah.
Nice.
All right, guys. So that is our review of Jurassic Park. Stay tuned very soon for more reviews in this Jurassic Park series leading up to Jurassic World Dominion in June, I think. I don't know. It's
Yeah, I
been too long.
yeah. Yeah.
It's been too long. um, you guys are the best, and thank you for watching. My name is Alex. That's Pat. See you at the movies somewhere.
Alan.
Alex.